Now, I was told by a few locals when I asked them how to get to this place, the first thing they said was don't drive on it. And I wasn't going to drive on it. You don't drive on salt lakes because that's just asking for trouble. But apparently quite a number of people have come out here, somehow got through the gates and driven on this, particularly when the water levels are far more drier than it is now. And don't do it. Come and enjoy the scenery, but do not try to drive because one, you'll damage the environment. Secondly, you're going to get your car sunk and you'll probably never get it out again. From Clare, if you go westwards, and that's what we're doing now, you come to a place called Lochiel, L-O-C-H-I-E-L. Lochiel, pronunciation is completely off, I'm sure, but L-O-C-H-I-E-L. And there's the famous salt flats there, which certain times of the year and depending on the direction of light, I believe it turns color, mostly pink. It's one of the most photographed pink lakes in South Australia, and that's where we're heading right now. And hopefully we'll get the same colors. The skies are perfect, so let's see what we come up with. It's 40 kilometers westwards from the town of Clare. Very pleasant drive because you get in the distance you see all these rolling hills, and as when you have clouds on a day like this, the clouds kind of create shadows along the distant landscape, and that gives it a lot more definition. It's nice and contrasty. You've got green on either side and you've got blue skies and the hills in the distance. And that looks good. Yeah, that does look. Is that the spot? I wonder. That's another smaller one. And what's nice is the blue sky kind of puts a blue tint to the hills. When you're in Clare, there's hardly any off-roading. I mean, there are gravel tracks, but it's nothing serious four-wheel driving. You can easily do it in any motor vehicle, even in a saloon, because maybe perhaps if you're taking gravel roads, slightly higher ground clearance. But it's an area where, in South Australia, where you get beautiful scenery, good wine country as well. So if you're planning a trip, my advice is, if you're heading up, towards Flinders and beyond, or even if you're going past Port Pirie or Port Augusta and heading towards Pirie or in that direction, towards the westerly direction, try and sort of drive through Clare Valley. You won't regret it, at least. Well, we came with the intention of spending 2 days. Now we've decided to spend a third day, and thankfully Johnny found accommodation. So we'll be spending a third day because there's a lot of areas you can split up. What we did was we stayed in a place called Feral Flats. Now Feral Flats is ideally in the center to go and explore the Clare wine region, as well as then go to the historic town of Burra, if that's correctly pronounced, B-U-R-R-A. So Feral Flats is perfect. There's a few B&Bs in there, but then so in that way, from Feral Flats to Clare, the town of Clare is 20 kilometers, or if you go in the opposite direction to Burra, it's also about 23 kilometers. So ideally, if you want to try and soak in everything Clare Valley has to offer, I would say ideally it'll be 3 days, but 2 certainly doable. So here we are at Lake Bumbunga, and it's about 43 kilometers west of town of Clare. Now, from what I've read, this salt has been mined continuously since 1881, and I don't think it's mined anymore. It's quite a picturesque place, but you've got to come here on a clear sky day where you get all the details, as you can see behind me. On a overcast day, it might not be as beautiful and dramatic, but you can't pick and choose. Sometimes it depends on how the weather turns out. And due to a bacteria that exists, on certain days when the conditions are perfect, it turns pink. If you're fortunate enough and you come in one of those days when the bacteria is in full display of its color, this whole area turns pink. And the name Bumbunga is the indigenous term for rainwater lake. I think we're going to do some wineries, don't we?
Wine tasting.
Yeah, wine tasting. It's Johnny's birthday, so we're going to do some wine tasting, otherwise she's going to be very disappointed.